Hey, gang, welcome to another Sunday Sermons with Sand. It's so great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hey, listen, I wanted to catch up with you about Advent and remind you that it is the beautiful task of Advent to awaken in all of us the memories of goodness and hope. So that is going to be our theme for day 4 of Advent. So let's do a Bible roulette and see what God has to say about that. I'm just going to flick a page open. It's going to be, well, I'm just going to set that on my leg so I can do it. Nope. Sorry, it's going to be right there. Okay. Let's see what it is. Here's what it is. Okay, let's get that page there. All right, it looks like it's Mark. My Bible's falling apart, so I've got to get situated here. Okay, are you ready? Let's see. I don't want to make that same mistake I did the last time. Okay, ready? Here we go. It is Mark 11 and Mark 11, page 82 and 83 in my New Testament that, as you well know, I was given when I was 10 years old by my great-grandpa, J. Vandy. Okay, great. So let's read the first sentence on the first page. It's actually the end of the last sentence from the last page. So it may or may not make sense to us, but let's just see. Wants to be first among you will be everyone's slave, for even the Son of Men did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life ransom for many. They came to Jericho, and as he was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great throng, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. Hearing that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out, "Jesus, Son of David, take pity on me." Many ordered him to keep still, but he shouted the louder, "Son of David, take pity on me." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him." So they called to the blind man. "Have the courage, get up, he is calling you." Throwing off his coat and springing to his feet, he went to Jesus. In response, Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man replied, "Rabboni, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has restored you." And instantly he recovered his sight and followed him on the way. Wow, that was actually the end of chapter 10. And this is now chapter 11, Mark chapter 11. When they came to be near Jerusalem at Bethphage and Bethany by the Mount of Olives, he dispatched 2 of his disciples, to whom he said, "Go to the village opposite you, and as soon as you enter it, you will find a tethered colt, which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and fetch it. If anyone says to you, 'What are you doing there?' you say, 'The Lord needs it, and he will send it back here without delay.'" They went away, found the colt tethered outside the door in the street, and untied it. Some of the bystanders there remarked to them, "What are you up to, untying the colt?" So they answered just as Jesus had told them to. So they answered just as Jesus had told them, and they let them take it. Then they brought the colt to Jesus, spread their clothes on it, and Jesus sat upon it. All right. I don't know that. Okay, look. It's because it's dark in this room and I can barely read. So this in the dark. But I love how the tree looks in the dark. So they answered just as Jesus had told them, and they let them take it. Then they brought the colt to Jesus, spread their clothes on it, and Jesus sat upon it. Many also spread their garments on the road, and others leafy branches which they had cut from the fields. Both those walking ahead and those behind shouted, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest. He entered Jerusalem and went to the temple, where he observed everything, and as night was approaching, he went out to Bethany with the 12. The next morning, as they were leaving Bethany, he felt hungry, and noticing a leafy fig tree at a distance, went to see whether he might find something on it. I think I might have just lost that page. No, I didn't. Okay, ready? Here we go. They reached Jerusalem. Oh, here we go. No. It is Mark 11, verse 22. The next morning, as they were leaving Bethany, he felt hungry, and noticing a leafy fig tree at a distance, went to see whether he might find anything on it. But upon reaching it, he found nothing but leaves. And in fact, it was not the time for ripe figs, and he had addressed it. May none eat fruit from you forevermore. And his disciples were listening. They reached Jerusalem, and on entering the temple, he began to expel the sellers and the buyers that were there in the temple. He upset the tables of the money changers and the stalls of those who sold doves, and did not allow anyone to carry any goods through the temple. He taught them, "It is not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer among all nations, but you have made it a den of robbers." The scribes and chief priests heard it and looked for many ways to destroy him. For they were afraid of him, as all the people were amazed at his teaching. With the fall of evening, he left the city. And when they came along the next morning, they noticed the fig tree withered to the roots. Then Peter remembered and said to him, "Rabbi, look, the fig you cursed is withered." Jesus answered them, "Have faith in God, for I assure you, whoever says to this mountains, 'Be taken up and thrown into the sea,' and entertains no inner doubt, but believes that what he says will happen, it shall be so for him. I tell you, therefore, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And whenever you stand praying, and you have a grievance against anyone, forgive him, so that your Father in heaven may forgive you and your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive your trespasses." Once more they entered Jerusalem, and while he was walking around in the temple, the chief priests and the scribes and the elders came to him and asked him, "By what authority are you doing these things? Or who gave you this authority to do them?" Jesus said to them, "I will ask you one question." Oh, it's the end of the page, but I think we might have to turn the page so that we know what the one question is, don't you think? Doesn't that sound like a plan? Let's see if I can get this page to turn. These pages are really fragile too. They're super thin and leafy. Here we go. I will ask you one question. You answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I do these things. Was the baptism of John from heaven or from men? Answer me, is what he said. They argued among themselves. If we say from heaven, he will say, why then did you not believe him? But if we say from men, they were afraid of the people, for everyone considered John to be a prophet. So they answered Jesus. We do not know, Jesus replied to them. Neither do I tell you by what authority I do these things. That was the end of Mark chapter 11. Wow, that was good, wasn't it? Neither do I tell you by what authority I do these things. Amen to that. Well, gosh, that was fantastic. Thanks again for hanging out with me on this fourth day of Advent. I hope you got your Advent calendar and your Advent wreath and your four Advent your four Advent candles for the 4 weeks, to signify the 4 weeks of Advent. Well, blessed be you and blessed be the Lord. Amen. And what are we going to say? Always remember, I'm sand, and this is my beach. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 5 of Advent.